All right, on the MMA Outsider Podcast now, we are joined by UFC Bantamweight Francisco Rivera. He picked up a big win at UFC on Fuel TV 3 back in Fairfax, Virginia a few weeks ago. Cisco, I gotta say, you put on a really impressive performance, especially in the striking game. You looked like you just dominated him on the feet, that being Alex Soto, of course. Did you expect to have that much of an advantage in the striking game against him?
Yeah, I'm not striking. Everywhere I go to train, top guys I train with, they've always said I've had my striking is the best. And going in this fight, I knew my striking was going to be way better than his. So I just wanted to keep it standing until either I knock him out or just get the win. My main goal was just to go in there and get my win. I need my UFC win. I wasn't really trying to knock him out. I usually would want to just knock somebody out, but I just wanted to stay comfortable and get in there and get my first UFC win. I didn't want to fall into a trap or get taken down and get submitted or get caught in anything. I knew my striking game was going to be way better. I just wanted to keep it standing, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and he got you down a couple times, but you were able to pop back up. How would you say you did overall as far as your defensive wrestling and just getting back into the feet?
Yeah, I did pretty good. I felt, I could have, probably tried a little bit of submissions or something, but I'm safe on my feet, so I just did everything I can to get back up. He didn't feel strong at all. I knew he wasn't going to be able to hold me down, and he did take me down, so as long as I just, protected my neck and just got back up, then I knew I was going to be okay.
Yeah, and, of course you took a fight in the WEC a while back on really short notice, and you were fighting at featherweight against Eric Koch, and, then your first UFC fight was against Ruben Duran, and you lost that, and you mentioned wanting to get that UFC win out of the way, and you obviously got it done. Did you feel more comfortable being in the octagon this time, like you'd been in there before, you had a better idea of what to expect?
Yes, most definitely. I think, my last run with the UFC was kind of didn't go my way. I broke my hand in the first round against Rivera and Eric Koch. I took that fight on a week's notice and fought him at featherweight. I wasn't even training. I was working a full-time job. So I think all that kind of helped me out this time around. I felt more comfortable. I already knew what to expect. I already knew the atmosphere, the cameras, how the UFC ran their show. So I was really comfortable, and I was already coming in confident off my 2 wins at Tachi Palace, my 2 knockouts. So I felt like I was more than prepared for this fight, and I was getting ready for that title fight when they called me on the short notice. So I was ready, and I came out with the win.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you. Even though most people probably thought you were, just coming in there on just a couple of weeks' notice, you obviously were preparing for. I think that was going to be a 5-round fight. So, is there any negative effect at all of training for 5 rounds when you only have to go 3, or is that kind of a bonus knowing you're going to have all the cardio you're going to need?
I think regardless, I still always try to keep the same cardio. Regardless if it's 3 rounds, 4 or 5-round fight. I think cardio is like the main, thing that fighters worry about is gassing out the first 2 rounds or the first round, and by the 3rd round comes around and you're screwed. But I just try to make sure my cardio was on point and my conditioning was good, or whether it's a 3-round, 4-round, 5-round fight. I wasn't too worried about that. I just wanted to come in there and get this win. That's what I did.
Yeah, and you obviously got it. You pretty much threw everything in the kitchen sink at him, and I saw in your post-fight quotes you're talking about how tough he was, and you wanted to put him away, you weren't quite able to do it, and talk about what it was like. I'm sure I know you had him hurt a couple times. He stumbled a few times and still kept coming back. What was it like mentally seeing him just kind of take everything you could and keep somehow staying in the fight? And also, for a fighter, how do you find that balance between when you have a guy like that, you want to finish him, but you also don't want to blow out your gas tank and overdo it and just lose all your air?
Yeah, he was tough. After the first round, and he would go down, I wobbled him a few times, dazed him, and he just kept running from me, and I was like, man, this guy's tough. I kind of hurt my hand again in the first round, and so I started throwing more kicks. But after the first round, I just wanted to make sure I was more technical, and hopefully I'd catch him and put him out. But yeah, every time I rocked him, he just kept getting up and kept getting up. He was tough. I'm sure after Brad McDowell knocked him out, he was coming in there, a lot mentally stronger and well prepared. So I just try to do what I can to finish him off. But
Yeah, and yeah, I saw that also on your Twitter. I noticed you were mentioning fighting June 22nd, and I just looked it up and noticed it. So, as far as getting ready again, how long does it take you to heal up normally and feel like you're ready for another fight? I mean, do you feel pretty comfortable fighting with that little time in between fights, or in a way,
Yeah,
is it a benefit that you're already you're in your peak condition, so you don't have to do too much to get there?
yeah. I went back to training and I actually felt pretty good. I wasn't too gassed. I mean, after my last fight, I was still going to the gym, just keeping my cardio and running and just trying to heal up. But I was still running and doing my mild stuff and conditioning a little bit just in case. And then they gave me a call and I was already healed, and I jumped back to the gym and went and did some sparring and some rowing, and I was good. I wasn't gassing out. My cardio's still there. I just got to cut some weight a little bit, and I think it's best. I'm on a roll right now. My last 3 fights I've won. I'm on a 3-fight winning streak. I'm at probably the best right now in my career. Ken Stone is a good fighter, but I just don't think he's. I think it's another good fight that I know I can come out with this win, and having 2 wins in the UFC back to back is going to really, really help my career and make me stay in the UFC a little longer and train harder, and we'll see what happens. And I think this is perfect for me, and I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going and get this win.
Yeah, and you actually did mention how important it was for you just to kind of get that first UFC victory out of the way, and now that it's done, I mean, mentally, what kind of a boost is it to kind of get over that first big hurdle and know you've done it? Now you kind of have that first big load of pressure taken off of you.
Oh man, it's just a relief. It's one of the best feelings in the world, getting that first UFC win. Now I can actually go in there comfortable and not be so worried about getting cut, and just go in there and do what I do and fight hard, prove to the UFC that I belong in there, and get ready to move up the ladder in the bantamweight division, and hopefully I come out and show my skills again, and hopefully I can knock out and I've been drilling and wanting to get. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a perfect fight for me to come back again on short notice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should have a problem with this fight.
Yeah, and one question I wanted to go back to on the Soto fight is, depending on the fighter. I mean, obviously you had the striking advantage, but when the other guy has a height and reach advantage, that kind of changes up how you have to do things. So, from your perspective, as far as getting in there and striking with them, I mean, when you're facing a guy who's a little bit taller and lankier than you, what do you do to make sure you can get inside without getting caught?
Every guy I spar with at my gym they're all taller than me. They're all bigger than me. So I'm so used to sparring with bigger guys, taller guys, longer guys. So it's a big advantage to me. I usually have a problem with the smaller guys, the little wrestlers. So every time I fight a taller guy or a guy who's a little bit longer than me, it makes me feel a lot better than fighting somebody short and stocky like me. So I've been doing it for so long and training with all these guys that are a lot bigger than me. So I think it's to my advantage. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
Right, and as far as how you match up with Ken Stone, I'm guessing you'll feel like you have the advantage on the feet, and but also, not just stylistically, but as far as he goes, he's had a couple tough losses himself, like against Scott Jorgensen, Eddie Wineland. So, since you've been there, you've had suffered a loss in the UFC before. You know what that's like, and the pressure it puts on you. Do you think it makes him more dangerous, knowing that he's probably also fighting for his spot, making sure he keeps his place?
Yes, definitely. I know he's going to come well prepared and well trained, so I'm not going to, take him lightly. I'm going to go in there and keep my chin down and let my hands go. And I know he's going to shoot and try to take me down. And he don't forget knocked out. I've heard from guys that he's training with that he can't really take a punch, and my punches are really, really powerful. So I already know he's going to come down and try to take me down and submit me. So I've been working on my takedown defense and my wrestling. So it's going to be a good fight, and I'm going to be well prepared for it.
Right, and also earlier you mentioned, as far as, when you were, earlier in your career, you're having to hold down a, 40-hour-a-week job. What's it like now? Are you able to dedicate more time to your training? And, I guess, where do you feel like your fight career is now? Is it something that you're able to focus on full-time now?
Yes, it's full-time now. Doing this 3 times a day, 7 days a week. time, having to do my strength conditioning full time is helping me so much and making me so much better and so much powerful, so much faster. So now that I'm doing this full time, I think it's my career is gonna just blow up from here. So I'm gonna take advantage and just keep fighting as much as I can. Short notice, whatever it takes to go up the rankings in the bantamweight division.
Right, and certainly, getting wins always helps. But just as far as you've obviously shown some really good striking power, and there's not a ton of guys at 135 that have a lot of real serious knockout power. So, as far as the division goes right now, I mean, how do you feel you stack up? And do you feel like you can match up pretty well with anyone in the division, or do you feel like you still have some things to work on before you're ready for the top level guys?
Yeah, definitely working on a lot of stuff still. Definitely my power is up there. I think I'm probably one of the hardest punchers in the bantamweight division. I just got to prove myself now. I just don't want to, go in there and disappoint anybody, let alone disappoint myself. And, think that that's all I'm going to go in there and just knock everybody out, because I know that's not going to happen. So I definitely have a lot of things to work on. My wrestling, my jiu-jitsu, I work on every single day as much as I can. Definitely try to, use my technical striking and to my advantage, and work. I think my wrestling is getting a lot better, so I'm ready to start taking people down and try to do some submissions. And hopefully, these guys that I fight next won't want to just take me down. They'll think twice before taking me down also. So we'll see what happens, and as long as I just keep training hard and busting my ass in the gym, I think I will climb up the ladder and be a top bantamweight fighter.
Right, and lastly, since you're in the division, it's a pretty big fight coming up. Even though Dominic Cruz is injured, Uriah Faber is going to be fighting for the interim title against Renan Barão, obviously a very talented Brazilian striker. Some have compared him to Jose Aldo. I was curious, since you're in the weight class, I don't know if, do you have a feeling of who might win that fight?
That's going to be a tough one. I mean, Barão trains with Aldo, so I'm sure he's going to come out and try to use his strength to his advantage and take out his leg like Aldo did. But I think Uriah Faber learned from his fight against Aldo, so it's going to be good. I think he's going to be prepared for that, and it's going to be tough. I really don't know who's going to win that fight, but I'm going to go with Faber on this one. I think Faber has, has a wrestling advantage and is ready for Barão's striking, so it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, and actually, as far as your next fight, I know it's going to be in Atlantic City, a pretty famous fight town. Have you been there before?
What was that?
So I said your next fight is coming up in Atlantic City, pretty famous fight town. Have you been able to go there before, or fight there before?
No, I've never been there before. It's my first time.
Okay, well.
This is my second time on the East Coast, so
okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, cool. I've been there a bunch of times, so I just thought I'd give you some advice. Don't venture too far away from the boardwalk. That's all I'll say.
Okay, I'll make sure not to do that.
All right. Well, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck. That's UFC on FX, June 22nd. Francisco Rivera is going to be fighting Ken Stone in a bantamweight bout, looking to put together his second win in about 6 weeks or so in the UFC, which would be pretty impressive. So, Francisco, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Before we wrap up, any sponsors or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yes, thank you for having me on the show, on the podcast. I want to thank my sponsors, Head Rush, Revolution Cantina, Hayabusa, West Coast Burgers, my manager Jason House for sticking by me through my career and getting me back in the UFC. Thank the UFC again for giving me a second chance, and follow me on Twitter, Cisco